Choices in video games. People like the idea of feeling like they are the ones in control of the scenario and have several different ways for it to go. Or maybe it's more for a story thing, that people like the idea that they can mold the story that's going on and make changes to it. Granted, if the changes are more smaller scale, some people feel like it's not enough or too much of a fake option, but it is a thing that people generally enjoy when it comes to games. Want to feel like they have the choice, everything, and not just going down a pre-written plot or pre-written line when it comes to even gameplay aspects. Go start a smaller scale one, Sonic Adventure 2, where it's advertised as the player making a choice between playing as the hero side or the dark side.
Introducing Shadow from Sonic Adventure 2. Now you can choose to be Sonic, the good hedgehog, and try to save the world, or Shadow, the evil hedgehog, and conquer it. What kind of hedgehog are you?
Being the good guys or the villains of the story. And while there is a choice, especially which one you want to do first, everything, see what's going on, it's one of those things where ideally, even though it's a choice, ideally you want to do both and then the last story segment, but technically you could just do one story, get the credits, and then just be called a day. It'd be very short if we did like that, but technically that is a choice you could make, or something like Shadow the Hedgehog, where the game has 10 different endings and over 300 ways to obtain those endings. But despite that whole entire aspect, there is still a final story segment that is the canonical outcome, which I see some go two different ways. Some feel like it undermines everything the player has done, get those 10 endings, and also undermines the gimmick of the player choice, but also some feel like it's just a bonus thing that you don't have to do, since technically you can hit credits at the endings and call it a day, even if that final story segment is the canonical outcome of the game, you know? So despite the fact there are many choices, and even Sonic Adventure 2 is a basic one of you want to be the good guys or the bad guys, some don't really feel like those are actual choices if there is still a canonical outcome to the game. Another example that I'm going to use is the Letter horror visual novel. I'm going to have to put the whole name there, but kind of have to, where there are so many different choices and there's a button you can press that allows you to just pretty much bring up every possible choice you could make, which games warns you will give you spoilers, multiple things you can do, and there's so many different outcomes, whether it be different endings or different outcomes of character relationships and stuff you can do, but it is still a game with a true ending at the end of the day. So it's one of those things where, once again, depending on the person, they might see everything else as invalidated if there is still a true outcome, because they then believe the developers wanted them to specifically get that true outcome because people believe a true ending is developers wanted you to do. Even the main developers don't even expect you to do all of the choices to begin with, but because it's what you can do, some feel like this is what developers wanted, so if I don't get it, I technically didn't beat the game, even though you still did if you reach credits and everything. Another big case people not count as really a choice is stuff when it comes to something like, let's say, Telltale, where you can make many choices throughout their games, especially when it comes to like Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead, but some don't really count those because of the fact that technically the game has to reach a predetermined conclusion, even if the stuff that happens in your adventure is different than someone else's. The choice you make could be different than what I make, I get to see different things. But since they don't radically change the ending, some feel like the choices don't really matter. Like if certain characters who are impossible to save, no matter what, some feel like, well, that means every choice leading up to it doesn't matter, which is not necessarily how that works. It also can go to a different issue where, typically for Wolf Among Us, there are certain choices you can make, like let's say you get a character's arm ripped off, but even if their arm is still intact, the writers don't take it into account. There's also, people don't like these kind of choices where you can do something, but then the game will pretty much ignore it for one reason or another because, well, if they did, then that's will radically change, which is a different topic of things that radically change. But some people don't like the idea that unless something is a massive change in the narrative, don't really see it as an actual choice. One that I've ragged on before is for the game Unicorn Overlord, where at some point in the game, you have the option to spare certain people or execute them. But the problem with these choices is the fact that there's almost no reason to ever execute them, since recruiting them gets you a new named character for your forces, and the stuff you get for executing them is resource you could have got a different way. So the feels too lopsided towards just recruiting them. On top of the fact that because of this, the main character Elaine has to be written in such a neutral way to where both options are pretty much something he would realistically do, but it also makes him so bland because it feels like when it comes to actually conversations, he just has nothing to really say or add to what's going on, even with character dynamics and relationships. Which is another case where why many developers would actually use, like, let's say, a silent protagonist, because they don't have to worry about that because all characters don't talk, so we need to actually try to justify from their perspective why they would make a certain choice. But with Elaine, because he's a speaking main character, and to try and justify why would he make both choices, and it's one of those things people generally don't really like if a character is too neutral. I will say this, comes to that, also I mentioned earlier Telltale games, the Walking Dead, they written it to where the main character, late season 1, every choice the player makes is something Lee would actually say, despite how people treat it as if Lee would never pick any of the more asshole options. No, it is designed to where every option you can do is something the character would logically do in that scenario. Everything's supposed to be a viable option, even if the players themselves don't see it as that. You also have the hidden choices, one of the designs to judge the players in the background, but on the execution I've seen people not like this one. Like, people love Silent Hill 2 to this day, people enjoy the remake, but some are iffy when it comes to how the game decides choices. Many like the idea the action you do in gameplay decides the ending, but some are like me where the game has to assume the intent for your actions, like one of which being the fact of having James at low HP for a lot of time will actually skew the game towards one of the endings, with the game trying to decipher the intent that, oh, James at low HP, then it tries to see it as James is more suicidal, which may not be the case with a player at all, since it's a survival horror game, meaning that you may just want to save resources. I was playing a game on hard mode, I made a playthrough through the channel, and me putting hard mode meant I need to conserve resources as to not die. That's a waste of and not die later on. But the game can construe that as, like I said, seeing as more from the in-universe character's perspective of why would they remain in pain for so long, kind of thing. It's one of those things where the fact that you get a different ending and you don't even know how is a cool aspect of Silent Hill 2, but when you start to actually know how the game calculates it, it's kind of one of those things where it feels like you may feel like you were cheated out of an ending because of what you did or what didn't do. Like one playthrough I saw from a streamer who got an ending because they went out of their way in order to get more of the information in the game, learn more about James and Mary and stuff like that, and the world. But doing stuff like that will skew you with a certain ending, and they feel like they got punished for essentially wanting to learn more about the game, which is like one of those things. That wasn't their intent. Their intent was just, I want to learn more, but the game read the intent as something else entirely. You also have Silent Hill Shattered Memories, where in this one, the game constantly judges you for minute action. Although the game does warn you that it is judging you from the get-go, but people like this one because every minute detail you do is being judged and constantly alters the world, including even what the enemy designs look like and the ending. The issue with this one comes down to the fact that, like I said, people don't feel like it does enough. Because while stuff can change, the kind of personalities can change, enemies' designs can change, the ending can change, it's also the fact that the enemies all function the same. You're still gearing towards the same finale, but the ending can change, and in one case, they didn't think about the ending and the finale in the same sequence, leading to a contradictory statement and everything, kind of thing. But it's one of those things where people do like it because of the fact of so many minute details, something you're not even thinking about. The game will go, I see. Like, it's better at figuring out the intent of the player based on their actions, as opposed to Silent Hill 2, but Shattered Memory is the more lesser known entry since it was a spin-off, kind of reimagining a Silent Hill 1 released for the Wii and PS2. One that I've seen hated is the fact that the Metro series judges the player secretly and gives you a different ending depending on what you do. Instead, I see people complain about it because people generally get a worse ending and they don't know how it happened, and then they find out and they feel like they were cheated out of a proper finale kind of thing. I remember one big one being for Metro Last Light, where people complain about the fact of, why are there burlesque clubs and stuff like this? And they just put in nudity and sex for no reason? No, the game's judging you if you keep staring at it. So stop. Stop doing it. But since the games make that up front, they don't know that, so they just assume it was quote-unquote there for no reason, even though the developers put it there for a reason, everything. I don't want to just put it there for no reason in general, but people don't think a bit from that aspect. Think a bit of what they see, and what they see is, why is this here? And then they later found out, and then feel cheated. It's like, you did the thing. What are you playing the game for? Kind of thing. It's also a case where hidden mechanic can feel like people got cheated out a better outcome and now need to replay the game in order to get a better outcome. Or maybe in some cases, some people feel like the requirements for a better outcome may be too strict, even though from seeing Metro, not really super strict or anything, but some people feel that way, feel like they're now on eggshells and actually get a better outcome. While many focus on choice when it comes to narrative, there's also, as I mentioned earlier, some of the stuff being choices in gameplay, such as, also talking about it, Final Fantasy V, with the job system, how you're able to fully customize the character's loadouts and work with what you got. To a point where many people love doing challenge runs, such as 4-Job Fiesta, which has them using the jobs in ways they might not even know and they can even be used everything, and gives a full freedom of gameplay to the player. And from what I've seen because of RPGs like this, some don't like it because, I swear, it's because of the fact that people just get choice paralysis and are unsure what to do when it comes to stuff like this. Because compared to its predecessor, Final Fantasy IV, also a great game. But Final Fantasy IV's biggest flack is the lack of choice in literally everything. You don't even get a chance to even dictate your party, because instead the narrative does that for you. The narrative controls everything, and while it is a good narrative, and has cool moments of narrative and gameplay coming together, such as something coming out of Paladin, it's also the fact that when it comes to the Hunter aspect, it's one of those things that the game, not in the West, but generally in Japan, got more flack for the fact that there was so little customization in the game that the player could do because of how much the story dictates everything. To a point where the DS version is like, oh, now you can also add these augments to the characters to add more abilities, or oh, now you can play the GB and PSP version, lets you change the final party for final boss fight. I don't think it's a good idea, but it's now a thing you could do, kind of thing, where they try to add more gameplay choice to the player in a game that's very story focused, to the point where boss fights are less about just who has a bigger number or anything. It's more about trying to solve the puzzle of the fight with the characters the game gives you. The game gives you the party for a reason. Now you need to figure out what's the reason why I have these specific party members for this specific fight, which is a cool way Final Fantasy IV handles it. It's one of those things where it just also lacks choice in anything the player does as a result. And you juxtapose that to other entries that have more choice or less choice. The Final Fantasies 1, 2, and 3. Oh, 1, you get to dictate what the 4 Warriors of Lights classes are. 2, you get to dictate their entire build from the get-go. 3, the job system, but it's more about puzzle solving and everything, and not about customization and stuff like that. Where people look at that and then go, well, what am I going to do with this? And are unsure what's actually to do. Which is why I see in Final Fantasy II, people try to min-max everything with the stats and feel like it's a bad idea because of it, even though the game's not asking you to make every character an all-rounder. It's asking you to have certain characters specialize in certain aspects. Besides, don't talk about Final Fantasy II, they generally just try to make every character as the same thing on all-rounder, which is not what the game generally wants you to do is to make your playthrough more miserable. Then you have games that have less customization that do get heavily praised, like Final Fantasy VII, but I said, there's not much customization with the materia system, because the materia system is just more limited, to a point where 7 Remake even removes even less options, because now everyone has their own defined playstyle, which they should have from the get-go in OGFF7, but now in Remake and Rebirth, materia becomes more of an augmentation system that adds more onto them, unless the player has used to break the game. Final Fantasy X is one of the most beloved entries in the franchise, and despite the fact that there is customization with it, you can have the characters go to other sphere grids, learn new abilities, go do stuff other characters can do. People generally don't, and will instead have you stick with the characters' more ideal sphere grid, because the abilities they get specialized for them. To the point where Final Fantasy X International does add the ability to where everyone starts in a neutral plane in the sphere grid, and you just have full customization. But despite this being a big feature in International Edition, I don't really see many people really talk about it, or even use this option instead of favoring the game's default setting, where everyone has their specialization, and instead they branch out for the post-game, where then you need all that power everything, and realize, oh dear god, Yuna's a powerhouse with a physical attack, and she's gonna nuke everything. Why people enjoy stuff like Zelda Breath of the Wild to the Kingdom, because of the choices you can make in gameplay, and different solutions you can do for certain tasks, or what shrines you do, or what order you do things, or what you don't do, and just it puts the control in the player's hands. The issue then stems from, there's gonna be a certain point where you may end up finding a winning strat that just always works, because for some reason it just always works. Like, for example, for Tears of the Kingdom, oh, just make a hover bike and just break everything. Oh, just grab an object, dangle it in the air, and then recall it, and boom, you broke everything kind of thing. Where people feel like that's more on the player for basically limiting their own options to just a certain strat because it works. Some would say the same strat over and over should probably not be working, kind of thing. But that is a choice in gameplay that the player can make everything. So say you could get to the final end of Breath of the Wild to the Kingdom without the Master Sword. And then Tears of the Kingdom has no balls, so they give you the Master Sword for the finale anyway. So, that's a choice you can make in the game. Even something as minor as a limited inventory space makes the player make choices, because there may be an item you want to get, but you don't have space for it, but you really want that item, so you gotta finagle away in order to get the item, and then take the time to do it. Taking the time to do it may mean coming across more enemies that may deal damage, make you waste your healing items, and that's just a small example of a choice the game lets you do. Like, not every choice needs to be this big, bombastic, the entire game changes forever. Just the most minute things make the player go, but I wanna, but I wanna, but I wanna, kind of thing. It's just a cool way to advise the player to try and do something differently, even if it might be detrimental in the end, because they're like, but I wanted to think. I wanted to think. And while many do want typically big narrative choices in games, one of those aspects becomes the fact that a game focuses too hard on it, it can also potentially just become more of a film or show than it does an actual game, which is one of the things that people use to bash certain things, like I mentioned Telltale, or Life is Strange, or games by Supermassive, so like Until Dawn, like Picture Anthology, stuff like that, where it becomes more about the narrative and choices, to a point where the gameplay ends up not having much to it, because of the fact of like kind of trying to remake gameplay around it and everything. Although Life is Strange has the issue where they break their own rules of time travel several times, so that's a different example where even the narration couldn't really keep up with the idea that they're going with. But it's just one of those things where you focus so hard on narrative choices and different outcomes to the point where you're like, well, we can't change the gameplay this much, so let's instead make the gameplay this. It can become to a point where some things become more show than actual game. You also have the fact that when it comes to choices in games, so many games have a good or evil option. The next game, if they do get a sequel, will almost always go with the good options to the point you start to wonder, maybe I'm putting in an evil option and everything, because of the fact of, I get it, developers don't want the player to be a fully evil person. Like, even Grand Theft Auto tries to have likable aspects to their characters, even if they are criminals. It's one of those things where many games will just try and chicken out of evil aspects by either lightening what the character really does. Sometimes in a game about being a villain, you may go up against a villain who's more evil than, or more heinous than the actual player themselves, so you look at the good guy by comparison. Or my biggest pet peeve, stuff like Fable or the Infamous series, where the good ending is always the one that ends up being the canon one, because of course most people want to be the hero in a game than a villain, but it just makes the whole premise just way less interesting when you know for a fact none of these evil options will ever stick, never going to stick, and probably never will, because people don't want to actually be a villain. They want the option to do it, but then won't actually do it. Even if some games, people make memes about it, let's say Mass Effect with the Renegade for Life, we're not even a villain, there's an asshole, but it's to the point where will the option even really stick kind of thing, on top of the fact that when it comes to Mass Effect 3, the writers punish you so much for being a renegade kind of thing. Where even the writer, whoever people in charge of Mass Effect 3 did not like the idea of a player being a renegade, and pretty much just made it to start losing out on more resources than compared to the Paragon method. Or even at a smaller scale, Deus Ex Revolution, Mankind Divided, where you get EXP, more EXP for being pacifistic and exploration based than you do for being a person who goes in guns blazing, because not taking someone alive gets you more points than if you were to just kill them and you get a headshot kind of thing. So even then, some small choices like that can be seen as the player being punished for it, even if in reality it's like, well, I want to do the thing. It's like, well, you are doing the choice. It's a fact that the game's also telling you that there are better options out there, and the better options are generally the quote-unquote nicer ones. And speaking of Deus Ex, those games being immersive sims just allow you to just do the most ridiculous things and get away with it. What I always did when I played the game years ago was just put points of super strength, make giant stacks of random trash in order to reach higher locales for missions or side missions, and it would work. I love mentioning that because it's so stupid, but I love the fact that you can do it, and it's a choice that I made. Even if I later learned that many people prefer to only use their upgrade points when they need an ability, rather than me, who will try to make an ability work because I want that, I want to do the thing, so I will try and make the scenario in which case my thing works, as opposed to, say, a scenario where, I could use this, and then use the upgrade to get that, but it's a different way of playing the game, a different choice being made in the gameplay on how to progress. It's amazing! Last one I'll mention is also Fatal Frame 2, specifically the Wii remake of Fatal Frame 2, because that game, that version, added in a new ending that is probably the happiest outcome possible, making the requirements very difficult to get, but it's obviously a non-canon option. But there are people who are upset that it was a non-canon option because, well, they wanted a happiest possible ending outcome for a horror title, even though happiest possible outcome should not be any words that come out of your mouth in terms of actual outcome in a horror story. Like, if your horror story ends up being the most happiest possible outcome, Digimon survive, then it pretty much undermines the fact that it's horror, since what's the real danger? What's the real threat if the fact that it's going to lead into an outcome where things turn out perfectly fine? It pretty much undermines the entire aspect because of it, you know? It's one of those things where it's a whole entire choice, but it's one of those things that those choices are better left as a what-if scenario rather than an actual outcome that feels legitimate, because it could also make players feel cheated out that they couldn't get that outcome as well, even if they exist. But just because of what if, I feel is a perfect idea if you're doing a horror story, rather than trying to actually add in some after the fact, here's the happiest outcome possible thing for a horror narrative, because I feel like it undermines the horror in the horror narrative. Actually, screw it, I already mentioned it. Digimon Survive. This one has both narrative choices, but also gameplay wise, the fact that your evolution for Agumon changes depending on if you're more wrathful, if you're more harmony, or if you're more moral when it comes to the game's choices, on top of altering the narrative. There are also smaller incentives, like being able to get a higher advantage against boss fights if you actually made the correct choices during the actual visual novel segments, either finding extra stuff or just making the smart choices and stuff like that. Which is a cool bonus incentive that gameplay wise, you can get a better strategic advantage in the scenario because of it on top of these multiple different endings. The problem becomes the fact that also the game that does have a true ending when they get on the second playthrough, with theoretically the players should be able to get on the first playthrough, but developers made it so you can't, and then try to pretty much blame it on you that you didn't get it, even though they made it you couldn't do it, which some games do, having the actual choice-based thing only for a new game plus scenario. But in this case, like I said, I'm complaining about, I won't spoil the true ending, but it's one of those things that feels like it undermines the horror aspect Digimon Survive is going for, and I just don't like it at all. It's just the most boring of the pathways in the game. So it's one of those things where I can see what they're going for and everything, but like I said, you try to have something that kind of pretty much makes the dangerous scenario not that important, it kind of ruins any sort of horror aspect you're going for in your story. So that's all the choice-based stuff I want to mention. I wanted to highlight even just a smaller gameplay choices you can make, just because some people don't really think of that as choices, even though you're making a choice of doing certain things in gameplay. It's not anything super major, but the fact you're like, oh, I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this, you are making a choice in the game. You are thinking about what needs to be done as well. It's much like Final Fantasy V. The kids like Final Fantasy V, Octopath Traveler, Bravely Default. I hate Bravely Default. But it's one of those things where RPGs like that, where the player has more options and choices in what they do in gameplay, those games tend to try and also ramp up the difficulty, because if the player has more options, then the opponents need to also match up with them. So I see people complain about games like that, I feel like they're way too difficult, even though the path to success is in the player's hands. They just have to figure out what they want to do with it. But I've seen the majority of those games get more flack compared to RPGs that instead just give you a more stricter party setup and everything. It's one of those things that in some cases people don't really want more choices, or at least they think they want more choices, but in execution wise everything, they end up not liking it because they want more direction, they want more guidance, they don't want hand holding, they just want an idea of what they should be doing, you know? Anyway, the rest of this video is going to be talking about choices in games, me and my friend discussing, and I will put spoiler over here for several games that will be mentioned. And don't you worry, we'll talk about Mass Effect more in detail. There will be an entire rant about Infamous choices, so don't worry, I got you there. And then we'll be also talking about my friend ranting about Until Dawn. So I'll leave the rest of the video, we'll talk about choices and stuff in games and how they can affect things, and also some people, like I said, just want the perfect outcome and nothing else. So anyway, you mentioned that for choices in games, go out there, play games where they have choices or not, or try to go for a perfect outcome, or you don't go for a perfect outcome and see what kind of experimentation developers do. That's on your choice. Anywho, like what I said about that, alrighty then, good day.
I'm a big fan of choice-based games, and Until Dawn is right up my alley. I didn't mind the game, however, some segments piss me off because it feels like, the big illusion of choice. It felt like no matter what I did, it didn't fucking matter. For example, the character Matthew. I tried my best. Every time there's a choice-based game, I always try my best to save everyone to make sure everyone lives. No matter what I did, no matter what branch I took, Matt always fucking died. And I could never fucking save him. And that pissed me off. And I don't know if there was like a very specific, benign detail that I missed in order to prevent his death. I don't even know if you can prevent his death. But no matter what I did, he always fucking died, and I just gave up and I didn't bother saving him. It pissed me the fuck off so bad.
How to save Matt. 1. Do not attack the deer. 2. 2, you can jump off the platform. You can jump off the platform, and Matt will survive. 3, if you decide to try and reach out to Emily, if you have the flare gun with you, then Matt will survive. 4, when completely in the mines, you must, if Matt is alone, choose to try and run from the Wendigo. If Jessica is there, choose to hide, because obviously Jessica can't run. And then after that, you must then hide again in order to completely lose the Wendigo.
The game never gave me the option to give Matt the flare gun.
That's the thing. Saving Matt is the most difficult thing in the game because the circumstances are so BS. But there is a point where you can find a flare gun. Emily will suggest using the flare gun. Do not do this. She will also hand the flare gun to Matt. Matt must have the flare gun. You reach out to Emily twice, then Matt will end up in a different location if he jumped off. In this location, Matt will get grabbed by a Wendigo. With the flare gun, he will be able to shoot off the Wendigo. Otherwise, he is completely dead because nothing he can do in that sequence.
Hello? No! Get off! Get off! No! What is taking me? Let go! What is? Are you gonna give me the flare? Bust this nigga, man! Whoa, 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 whoa. Bro.
She had the fucking flare gun, but the game never gave me the option to give it to him. I didn't use it. She had it on her, and she never gave it to him.
If Emily has the flare gun, then there's a sequence in which a Wendigo will try to bite her. With the flare gun, she can shoot off the Wendigo, which makes it so that way Mike does not try and shoot Emily in the safe room because she's not bitten.
I didn't get that segment.
Then that means
It played out that he wanted to shoot her, and I had to convince him not to shoot her.
Then that means Emily or Matt used the flare gun.
Bruh.
If Emily will suggest you using their flare gun to call for help, you're supposed to not use the flare gun to call for help.
Yeah, that's what I did.
After that, then if Matt has it and he tries to hit Emily, then he'll shoot the Wendigo. If Emily has it, then she'll show Wendigo and prevent herself from getting bitten.
So that's probably what fucking happened then. She used it to save herself and it fucked over Matt. Oi!
Just to save herself, and because she's not bitten, you won't have the scene where everyone thinks she's bitten, gonna turn into a Wendigo since she never got bit.
Wait, so did my game bug then? Because I got the scene where she got bitten and I had to convince him not to.
Then you possibly could have just messed up and messed the QTE at that point, because that's the only other option.
Okay.
Because at that point, she should not have been bitten because she instead of standing next to the door, she will stand facing the door and point the flare gun.
Okay.
But yeah, saving Matt is incredibly difficult. Maybe people make many mistakes because it's very specific how to save Matt. Josh is the only character you cannot save unless you're playing the remaster.
Wow. Okay.
Because they actually added a different ending for Josh if he does not get killed by freaking Hannah.
Is the remaster out on Steam or is it PlayStation only?
It's PS5 only, and it is actually inferior to the OG.
Okay.
They not only changed the copyrighted music, they also changed the sound effects. Sound effects sound worse, and the visuals there's no reason to update the visuals because the original still looks great.
Well.
And the new ending they gave is blatant sequel bait.
Oh.
But yeah, in that one, Josh doesn't die, but he's also not rescued from the mines.
Yo, they hate Josh. What the fuck?
Like, they might find him, but it just shows Josh still sitting in the mines, but he's not turned to a Wendigo.
Bruh.
As opposed to the OG where he either dies or turns to a Wendigo.
That's all I have to say is just bruh.
But yeah, you can only see them in the... They also added on some new scenes, but it's clearly scenes they made with, like, getting the voice actors back because no one talks in those scenes.
Oh.
Like, they added a new scene with freaking Beth in the beginning, but it's clear that they didn't get back Josh or freaking Chris's VAs because they don't talk, and Beth is not talking the entire sequence.
Damn.
So yeah, some new scenes, but they can tell they did it cheaply as possible. But the remaster was just pointless. It just did it because sequel bait because Until Dawn was a surprise hit that even Sony didn't think would sell well. They threw it out to die and it sold fantastic. And then claimed we didn't advertise it because it didn't need advertising. Shuei Yoshida, shut the F up. I don't normally say that because Shuei Yoshida is a pretty rad dude, but shut the F up. I'm gonna go with Saints Row the Third.
Oh.
Most of Saints Row the Third's choices are purely gameplay based on what will get you either more cash respect, what will get you money up front or money over time, stuff like that. Until you get to the game's finale, where you have two choices. You can either save Shawnee Viola and Burt Reynolds. I swear people forget there's three people there. Only remember one person. Or you can kill Killbane in order to enact full revenge for what happened to Johnny. Now, the game wants you to pick Killbane, but everyone picks Save Shawnee because Killbane's a lame villain who gives an F. But the reason the game wants you to pick Killbane is because not only is the Save Shawnee ending a joke ending, the achievement specifies that it says be in the game in another way. With Kill Killbane being less satisfying, but has the infinitely better final mission where the data list at Cyrus Temple keeps talking about the entire game finally gets brought in. So you get the actual payoff for the sequence, but it requires the player to do something that odds are they wouldn't think to do because the villain is so poorly written. Who cares? It also has the actual Saints Row style ending where the boss turns Steelport into a city-state and basically declares war on the entire U.S. government. It is a Saints Row ending, as ironically essentially what Killbane was essentially trying to do by toughening up the boss. Granted, he expected to kill the boss and be like, in your final moments, it won't be love to your family or nothing, you'll be thanking me. But despite getting the worst outcome, the boss still technically ends up following the lessons of Killbane of, you guys have just been coasting on success and everything. Even Johnny said at the beginning that, yeah, we trade our dicks in for pussies. Which the whole point of that ending is basically going back to how the boss used to be. But no one picks it, so Saints Row 4 picks the joke ending as a canonical option, making the entire data list just completely pointless. Even though Saints Row the Third had many script endings, I'm beside the point.
Would be the Telltale game. I'm gonna circle around two different genres, but the first one I want to do is The Walking Dead. So, Telltale's Walking Dead. Now, this one was a welcome surprise for me because I was a Walking Dead fan. Granted, it was the live-action show, and then this game came along and did a completely different thing with different characters. Even though it did drop some famous characters like Glenn and Herschel, etc., but it was mostly original characters that weren't in the show. So it's good. I really like the entirety of the series, and the choices are in that game. I would say they're mediumly minimal is the best way I can put it, because while they all technically do follow a similar ending, there are some slight variations and alterations towards that ending. So for me, in my choices, I mostly sided with Kenny because the whole funny get on my boat Clem and all that. But I don't know, I liked him, and I decided to stand by his side regardless of everything that's happened. And again, I mostly try to make everyone live. So I even did the thing where I saved Ben, even though he didn't deserve to live, and all that jazz. But yeah, the choices for that for that game franchise are like I said, mediumly minimal, because even though Kenny did live up until season 3, it makes no difference because essentially, regardless of who you pick, whether it be Kane or Jenny, even though they die in different circumstances, they still die regardless. And it's like, oh, okay, so, those two jazz that we had together just out the window. All right, cool, thanks. And granted, season 3 you technically don't play as Clem and you play as the fucking Javier's, which God, I hate family. But anyway, and then it leads to the last season, which was a welcome surprise. And you bet your ass when that bitch from season 1, Louis, when she came back, you bet your ass I fucking killed her. Fuck that bitch. So overall, they all lead to a similar ending, but slight variations you can make on the way make it all that worthwhile, in my opinion.
I have never finished a single season of Telltale's The Walking Dead. The furthest I made it was episode 3 before the PC port completely broke. And even then, it wasn't stable to begin with.
Damn.
So I never got to fully complete it. I did try to do different choices from most people. So, for example, I actually saved Doug and not Carly. Which the devs admit they didn't show how useful Doug is in episode 1. Episode 2, Doug is able to do still like make an entire alarm system. He's also, when you need to get help from the brothers, he actually uses a freaking laser pointer to blind one of them to get them to let you go.
Oh.
So people go, but Carly is lady with gun. Congrats, we all got guns. What makes her so special? The answer is because she knows Lee's past. They can actually do more with that because with Doug, you cannot tell anyone about Lee's past.
Oh yeah.
So everyone will be surprised about hearing about Lee's past. So that's a big moment why Carly has why you pick Carly.
Yeah, I remember the fucking shit herself look on her face when that bitch fucking I'm a murderer.
Because the fact that Doug takes the bullet for Ben as opposed to Carly instigating super hard for no reason. I also try to side with Lily and actually go with her plan to ditch the group, but she doesn't ditch you anyway. So she'll steal the RV, even if you say you would take Clementine with her and leave. So that's about as far as I got before the PC port just... I just know about all the choices because I've seen way too many videos on Telltale Walking Dead. The only Telltale game I played fully was Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, that one was good. Still waiting for season 2. Right?
Let's get a bit controversial. Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II.
I mean, I've heard of the game, but yeah, I don't know it.
So, the Neptunia games generally have many endings because the game has an in-game mechanic called shares, which you're able to lower and raise depending on what you do, whether it be side quests you complete or just fighting monsters in certain locales. So, depending on which way the shares lean, gets you a different ending. And since the whole game is based on the game industry, it's basically which console ends up being the dominant one for the ending. However, there was another option. The Conquest ending. The Conquest ending is something I can only describe as, how did you come up with this? And may I shake your hand?
Oh?
This is an ending that the developers said they would never do a Neptunia game, and if they did, they would probably make it comedic since Neptunia is a comedy series. But no, you're not laughing in this ending. The premise is feeling like in order to defeat the main villain, you need this special sword. The problem is the sword is useless at first, because it is powered by the life force of the goddesses, which are our main heroes. So this ending has you going and murdering the main cast of the game with a powerful sword. And the places you go to in the story order highlights the responses because in this game, each of the leaders have an assistant. So first you go to essentially PlayStation and kill their leader and her sister. Towards the assistant is heavily pissed at you and hates your guts, but she's professional about it, so she's all calm and relaxed, even though what she's saying horrible things to you. You then go over to Nintendo and kill them, towards the assistant is screaming at you how you murdered literal children because the person's little sisters were the DS, so there's two of them, twins. And how you're a monster for that. And the third person for Xbox, you don't even get the chance to even try and properly kill her, because one of the game's running villains actually ends up getting a jump on her and beats her almost to death. With our main character Nepgear killing that villain and saying, I should have done this a long time ago. Highlighting she was done with that villain's crap the entire time. You then mercy kill the Xbox character, because she's already gonna die at that point. Her assistant turns into a blubbering mess because she deeply cared for her and is screaming at you to give her back, but you can't do because she's dead and her life force is now in the sword. Only two people remain at this point, being Nepgear and Neptune. Neptune normally being the main character of the franchise, but not for this entry. Neptune decides that because we need to guarantee the sword's powerful enough to kill the main villain, she tells her sister to kill her. And she reluctantly does so. You then go to fight the main villain and win, but being told of the sacrifices it took to win, the villain laughs at you and says, I don't even need to be here anymore. You basically just doomed the world anyway. And she thinks about those words as now essentially freaking Neptune, which is based off Scrap Sega console, is now the only dominant force in the entire world. Inadvertently, you just turn the entire world into a monarchy. And how without any other competition from the others, the world is basically just going to become stagnant. And it got controversy because, like I said, this isn't a goofy haha ending. This is a dead serious ending. And fans were pissed that it was even in the game as an option. It is so hated that when they made the anime, they made an OVA where you need to find just a cure for a sickness as each of the freaking sisters are having a nightmare. Nepgear's nightmare is living through this ending. Except instead of her sister dying, she instead turns into 1,000 of the freaking generic slime dog monsters. She's just baffled. But the joke is that ending refers the ending. The Vita remaster of this game took this ending and added a happier variant of it, one that doesn't end all depressing, but they still do keep the original as an option. The problem is, if you don't do the original ending on your first playthrough, you can never do it because you'll generally have so many shares and be powerful to the point where you'll never get the circumstances required to get that ending.
God.
You like turning a comedy game into a dead serious, dark as F game for no reason?
No.
That's this ending. That's a choice you can do. It's called the Conquest ending.
Holy shit.
And that's saying something when this game also has one of the people in the villain forces being a pedophile. That's not even a joke. The character is just straight up pedophile. Even the villains don't like him, but they keep him around.
This time, the Batman games. So, of course, choice based plus Batman equals fuck yes. Two of my favorite things. So, I really enjoyed the Telltale series. I would hope they would do another season down the line because it really left us on a bit of a cliffhanger there, and I want to know what happens next in that universe. But yeah, overall, I like what they did with the game. I like the path that they chose for Joker in there and stuff. And as for me, as for my choices, funny enough, I decided to side with the Joker and let him be my sidekick. And I also let Catwoman into the Batcave and let her know who I am and stuff like that. I tried to be loyal to Harvey Dent, but it seems like no matter what choice you make, he'll always assume you had an affair with Selena, and it's like, no, man, I respected you, I backed off, but nope. And I like how Selena even makes a comment about that season 2, like, I tried making you a move on you before, but you rejected me. Like, no shit, you were with Harvey Dent. I wasn't gonna fuck him over. Come on now. But now that Harvey Dent became Two-Face and Selena is a free woman, I'm like, all right, you know what? Hey man. But I like what they did there. I felt bad for the Joker in season 2. And I decided to treat him with the utmost kindness as best as I could. But overall, yeah, it was, I would say one of the more minor choices regarding Batman games and stuff like that, and I really do hope they do a season 3.
Another thing I know is that because of YouTubers, they added in the option prompt to just grapple away from conversations.
Are you serious?
Because YouTubers found it found that option really funny. They added more to it in season 2.
Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. I also saved Alfred because there's a part where he doesn't die, but he can get scarred, and that kind of makes him look at you in a more negative light, like, oh, very selfish, Master Wayne. But I decided, what, I'll take it for Alfred, and then he was like, oh my god, Master Wayne, you're really good. So I don't know. I found that whole dynamic between him and Bruce really kind of wholesome. Like, yeah, I saved you, old man. Your family.
We got Undertale.
Oh.
Undertale is a game that keeps track of a ridiculous amount of stuff that you do. Like, a ridiculous amount of stuff that keeps track of what you did. But there are 3 main routes. Neutral, pacifist, genocide. Now, the Undertale fan base sucks. They're awful. And they will try and dictate that you play the game in a certain way. I reject this reality. So when I played the game, I got the neutral route, which you will do because you don't know anything about the game, so you just play normally. If you use the game's spare mechanic to spare every enemy, you will then unlock the pacifist route. But that requires that you play in the game more as a puzzle game, trying to figure out how to deal with every enemy in a non-killing manner. I have never done this pathway. Instead, I went straight to genocide. Genocide requires you to kill every enemy in the game. And I do mean every enemy. Every locale has a set number of enemies. Once they're gone, every random encounter will just say, and no one showed up. And the game's music will then become eerie. A choice you can do in the game is that during the first boss fight, you can of course spare every enemy, for every boss. But in this boss fight, if you are in genocide route, the boss dies in one hit.
Oh.
With the boss realizing that she was trying to help you, but in reality, she was inadvertently protecting all the monsters from you.
Oh.
However, there is a bonus option you can do. If you keep picking the pacifist options, eventually she will start letting her guard down more and more. If you then attack her in this instance, regardless of route, it will one-shot her. And in this one, she mentions, you struck me down at my most vulnerable point. I was wrong. You do belong here with them.
Oh.
So the genocide route has you essentially just going on a massive murder spree. Even down to the fact that in this pathway, you don't even do puzzles. The puzzles are automatically solved or are not properly set up because the monsters are too terrified of you to even be around. Even shopkeepers aren't there and you can still buy their stuff. There are exclusive boss fights in the pacifist genocide route, with genocide route having literally the best boss fights in the entire game, which is not saying much because Undertale's freaking RPG gameplay is so bare bones. But they are the best boss fights and the best pieces of writing in the entire game. The final boss of Genocide Route is so popular, literally you know who it is. And that character was added into Smash Bros. As a skin with a remix of their theme. Yeah, sense. He's the final boss of the Genocide Route. So despite how amazing Genocide Route is as a concept and execution, people will treat, but I am apparently a monster for actually enjoying it. Because apparently, according to Undertale fan base, that's supposed to enjoy Genocide Route. It was Toby Fox's commentary about how playing regular RPGs makes you a monster and you're a psycho. It's not fun. No, this is the most fun in the entire game. I like playing the villain. It makes me happy. Even better is that once you do this, your save file is permanently marked. You can get you then meet this character named Kara, who then kills you, the player. And if you wait long enough, Kara will offer you the ability to restart the game, but your save file is marked. If you then do the pacifist route or neutral route, after being in the game, the body of the character you're playing as then gets possessed as Kara takes over and goes on a massive murder spree, but now can do it both to humanity and the monsters.
Oh.
So no matter what, you will never be able to have a good ending ever again in your save file unless you delete it. Why Undertale's use of one save file is actually very smart and very genius. Infamous is a superhero franchise, in quotation marks, by Sucker Punch, also made a Sly Cooper franchise. The games from the get-go give the option of being a hero or a villain, although the game wants you to pick one or the other because it doesn't reward you for picking both. In fact, it's a bad thing to try and pick both. But each game, of course, has two endings. Infamous 1's ending is dictated on whether or not you're good or evil. With the good ending, has Cole reflect that he has done good in helping Empire City, but wonders will humanity turn on him the moment he fails to be a hero, the moment someone cries for help, but he's not there. The evil ending has the fact that Cole was actually, the entire game was orchestrated to train Cole to be powerful for a monster called the Beast, where Cole laments that the person who trained him, being himself in the future, was an idiot to ever expect him to be a good guy, and that having powers just means one thing: the strong take what they want and the weak are their slaves, and no one's stronger than him. Now let's throw this out the window. Infamous 2 does not care about your Infamous 1 ending. Instead, the big threat is the Beast, like I mentioned before. Early in the game, once the Beast shows up in a new locale, New Marais, you then are like panicking because disaster is striking until you meet an old friend from the first game named John. John, who you thought died in the first game, is not dead. Yay. He then reveals a secret that people all over the world are now sick with a disease that can't be cured because of what happened in the first game. But he can cure it. He then shows off his power as a conduit, revealing that John is the Beast. But his plan is to save the world from this sickness by activating the conduit powers from conduits, which will save their life. Downside is, if you're not a conduit, the Beast's power will kill you. It is a guaranteed way to save conduits. However, Cole's been working with the scientist named Dr. Wolf to use the RFI that is meant to not only eliminate the plague, but but it will also get rid of the beast. Cole activates it, and then him and his conduit friends start dying on the spot. Cole's best friend Zeke stops the device to save them, and they find out that Wolf left out important information. It will kill all conduits, not just the beast. And it is not guaranteed to work. The dying part will happen, but there's no guarantee that the plague will go away or that the beast will die in the process. Because it wasn't even fully prepared. So this is your option for good and evil. Do you pick the option that will kill thousands, that will kill thousands and maybe save millions, or do you pick the option that will kill millions but guaranteed to save thousands?
I would think the first one would be better, no?
And that is what I hate.
Oh?
The first one is the good ending. I hate Infamous 2's good ending. Remember how I mentioned how the beast is a person named John with thoughts and feelings?
Yeah.
Throw that out the window. The good ending treats him as nothing more than a raging monster who doesn't talk.
Oh.
In this ending, the good character, Quo, ends up siding with John because fear of dying. You know, natural. So you must take down both her and the beast. But while trying to fight the beast, the evil character, Nyx, wants revenge on the beast, why she's willing to die. She's willing to die for this, and actually sacrifices herself during the fight.
No! You gotta pay! No!
Quo then tells Cole about how she feared death and realized that Cole and Nyx were doing the right thing by essentially dying to maybe save all humanity. And Cole admits he too is afraid. Cole prepares the RFI before using it, has one final showdown with John, and then used the RFI, killing every conduit on the planet. And I mean they dropped it on the spot. They show you that children died.
Oh.
But the RFI actually works. Humanity is safe from the plague, and Cole is remembered as a hero for his efforts. I hate this ending. There is nothing heroic about killing thousands of people. Thousands of innocent people dying is not a heroic action.
Yeah.
To highlight how selfish this ending is, there are fans actually mad that the good ending kills off Cole. They wanted the one dude who should actually die for this choice to be the one person to actually survive. And people still maul over the fact that he actually died. That's why I also hate the ending. The fan base's response to it is so god awful. But there's nothing heroic about killing thousands of people just because, oh, they're the lesser number. Oh, that's what people are now, numbers? What about the evil ending? The evil ending has you siding with the beast, and throughout the entire thing, John keeps talking to Cole, telling Cole to imagine humanity is already dead in order to lighten the guilt of what they're doing, always acknowledging they are monsters to humanity and what they are doing is awful, but it's the only thing that we believe is the right thing to do. In this ending, Nyx goes against you since she wants revenge on the beast, and used the RFI against John, but she doesn't have the blast cores upgrades that Cole did. It's not at full power. It can weaken John, but it can't outright kill him. So it'll take more effort from her. Cole ends up fighting Nyx and kills her. Then the RFI on the ground rolls over, and it lands at the feet of Zeke, Cole's best friend. Zeke knows he has no chance of killing Cole and can't even use the RFI because he's not a conduit. but as he says, I have to try. And then the entire game, they've been saying the phrase saying twice as long, half as bright. And that's the final things they say to each other before this fight goes down. And it's just the player doing the most basic lightning bolt 3 times. Because that's how little of a chance Zeke has. Cole has so many ways to kill someone like Zeke, and you just do the most basic attack 3 times. Zeke is now dead at the hands of Cole. Cole considers using the Altar Fire, that maybe it's not too late, but in order to stop himself, he destroys the Altar Fire, making it so there's no going back. John, after seeing what happened, feels immense guilt that tears him up. Cole yelling at him if he's actually giving up on his plan after everything that's happened, which he says no, he's not giving up on the plan, but that he himself cannot do this anymore, and transfers all of his power and life into Cole. You went from hunting the beast to prevent a bad future to becoming the beast.
Wow.
The best part is the final pose Cole does can actually line up with the final pose from Infamous 1. So people think that's too ridiculous. No, the same Jesus-esque pose that you would basically think of a hero to do, Cole does a similar pose in that ending, highlighting that he is still a Jesus figure, just not to humanity. That ending is way better, has way more emotion and everything. People, it's not happy, yeah. You're not a good person, yeah, you're not the hero. They know this. And they feel terrible about it. Unlike the good ending, where they want to pretend like you're a hero, and so they make it so John doesn't talk. Because if he talked, you remember, he's a person, and you feel bad about it. But no feeling bad here. You can only feel good about your choices here. And this is the effed up part. The game's director, Nate Fox, made the game with the idea that the evil ending would be canon.
Oh.
But they instead use effing trophy data to decide which ending would be canon. Which is, I hate to this day. No duh, most people want to be the hero in a story. So of course, more people pick the good ending. This also means people like me, who platinumed the game, shot yourself in the foot because you basically added to the trophy data of people who picked the hero option. So Second Son has to somehow bring back conduits after an ending where they all died, and the game has no actual good answer because obviously you can't run around that. The big one, you go.
All right. So the big choice-based game that had the most impact in my life, Mass Effect. So the original trilogy, precise. We know about Andromeda. But no, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3. So yes, Mass Effect. I would, say I'm glazing or whatever the phrase you people use, but you know what? Mass Effect is by far the greatest choice-based game I have ever played, and I don't think any other game can compare to it. So you have a lot of leniency and a lot of freedom to almost do entirely whatever you want. Granted, all of the endings for each of the games are set, with the exception of the third one being kind of slight variations of the ending, but 1 and 2's endings are pretty much set in stone. The only thing that you have massive changes in is the pathing leading up to said endings. Like, who's on your team? Does the team follow you into the next game? Does the team stay alive? Are the team loyal to you? Are you in a relationship with somebody from the etc., etc.? What I like most about Mass Effect is that even the smallest things you would think are insignificant somewhat carry over to the next game. Like, one I like to point out is this character called Helena Blake. She's a side quest in Mass Effect 1, and she's purely renegade, but I did it anyway, even though I mostly strive for Paragon. For her, you have to go, and she wants you to eliminate her entire mob boss competition, leaving her as the only mob boss in charge. Once you do that, you are presented with the option whether you eliminate her as well, because she refuses to be arrested and go to jail, or you tell her, you manage to convince her to give up her ways and she can live a free life. So I convinced her to give up her evil ways and she lives a free life. And I thought that was the end of it. She reappeared in the second game. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect to see her. And while it wasn't much, it was still nice to see her. And she gave you a little update saying that she actually does charity work now and tries to strive for a better life. I'm like, oh, well, good for you. Good for you. Another insignificant one that I was like, oh, I didn't expect was this criminal called Fist in Mass Effect 1, where you're going to recruit Tali. If you can actually let him live, but only if you don't bring Rex along. If you bring Rex along, Rex will kill him defaultly because he has a contract to kill him. If you don't bring Rex, you can actually choose to let Fist live. And if you do, you see him again in 2 in a nightclub where he kind of is triggered at you for ruining his entire operation and insults you. And that's the last time you see Fist. Another one I like is from a deal called Bring Down the Sky. You fight this Batarian called Balak, and you have the option whether to kill him but risk blowing up the hostages that he has in there, or let him go and save the hostages. So I let him go and save the hostages. Little did I know that would kind of work in my favor. In Mass Effect 3, you see him again, where you're recruiting every possible ally you can to fight the Reapers, and Balak shows up, triggered at you, because in the DLC mission for 2, it is shown that Shepard left an entire Batarian colony to die, which wasn't true because I tried to warn them. And regardless, even if you try to warn them or not warn them, the communication gets cut off. So regardless, the Batarian colony dies because the Reapers are trying to come early. So Balak is pissed off at you and has a gun pointed at your back and is saying, why should I not kill you? You let my entire race, almost my entire species get eradicated. And if you manage to convince him enough, he says, fine, I'll give you my army of what's left of it. And you get the Batarians to join you in the fight for the Reapers. So I'm like, oh my god, that's pretty fucking cool. That's pretty fucking cool. There's a lot take 10,000 years to go over, but the point of being, there's a lot of major choices that are obvious and a lot of what you think is insignificant choices that tend to pop up here and there, and it's like, oh wow, the game remembers. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't say the same about the ending. While 1 and 2's ending are pretty cool, 3's ending is unfortunately fixed and it was blatantly rushed. And the concept that I love of what we could have gotten hurts me so much more. I'll just mention this to wrap it up. I'll mention this. One concept that we could have gotten at the ending of 3 would have been, in my personal opinion, badass, which was when Shepard met the child, the hologram child, and they had to make a decision whether he would sacrifice himself, become a Reaper, or join the AI and organic beings in one. All the Reapers outside in the window view would stop fighting. The war would come to an immediate halt, and all the Reapers would slow turn and stare at you, giving you the major impact that you're about to make a big ass fucking choice. And I feel like that shit would have been fucking beautiful instead of just, okay, here you go, make your choice, pick 1, 2, or 3, the end. Like, man, come on. Okay, final.
I mean, do way too long, it does give you a game over. So
that is true.
There's a visible timer.
I know, but
any updated, so you can't shoot the Star Child.
I know, but I would have preferred it if they kept that in where the like stared at you. Like, that shit would have made me feel like, oh, fuck. Okay. Last thing, I promise. Last final thing. I want to say my favorite DLC out of the trilogy is the Leviathan DLC in Mass Effect 3. Contrary to how hated certain water are in certain games, I love underwater segments, and the Leviathan DLC being entirely, well, not entirely, it goes up to that point, but the finale of the Leviathan DLC being underwater, you're by yourself, and then you find the fucking Leviathan, which is essentially the organic Reaper, and you find out more backstory about the Reapers. Oh my god, I was gobbling that up. I love the Leviathan DLC is my fucking favorite DLC. And yeah, that's the main point I want to make. Mass Effect is, in my opinion, the most unique choice-based game ever. The end.
I never bought DLC when I went to the games, So I did have that one moment with the poor Batarian wanted Shepard to essentially mercy kill them, and I'm like, who are you? What's going on? Huh? Destroyed the Batarian fleet? What? I didn't do anything like that. What? Because the writers made DLC canon, so you didn't do it. Mass Effect 3's intro makes no sense to you.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that I knew almost nothing about Mass Effect when playing the games. I did not know that's made their major choices. I did not know how Renegade and Paragon actually function. I just picked Renegade because, well, it looked like the evil option, so of course I'm going to pick it. This led to scenarios that my sister, who played the Mass Effect games and knew about it, she did not mention, and would let me make a bad decision that led to Ashley killing Rex.
Damn.
My next response was to kill off Ashley and save Kaden. Because I am petty. Then came to the disaster that was my Mass Effect 2 playthrough. When I first played Mass Effect 2, did not like it at all. I found it boring. In fact, that's why I didn't play Mass Effect, because only 2 had a demo, and a demo of 2 was so boring. So, I was completely apathetic in my playthrough. This meant that certain information the game probably said, I was not paying attention to. Which includes stuff such as, an invisible time limit to save the crew, upgrades for Normandy, and loyalty missions being kind of important. I did the bare minimum just to get the game over with. Time to run down the events as best I can remember them. Oh boy. Legion got sold off to Cerberus. I didn't want him. So he never joined the party. He didn't even have a name. He didn't have a name in Mass Effect 3 either.
Get this scrap metal out of my face.
Let's see. I can't remember who. I know Garrus died in some of the destruction of Normandy because there were no upgrades for it. I believe Jacob. I remember someone else. But I believe Jacob did also die in that destruction. Could have been him someone else. No. That was Thane who died. Next came for the actual choices in the suicide mission. I'm like, okay, we got a door that needs hacking. We had a person good with tech. I got it. Morden. I see him all the time on computers and stuff. I did his loyalty mission, so I'm like, he uses computers, so he knows how to hack something. At this point, my sister woke up, and she got to see the rest of this playthrough play out. This was the most unintentional vengeance for letting me have Rex die. As she gets to see these characters she loves die due to my apathy. And question, why would you pick Morden? Like, I see him using all the tech stuff. He's a biologist. So he battles computers all of a sudden? Just baffled by my uncaring logic of, computer man, you use computer, hack computer. What? He's researching organic material biology. What that? Mind you, Tali was my favorite character in the game, and I easily could have picked Tali, but I didn't because I associated Morden with computers more than Tali. Next, we needed someone to go back with the crew. I picked Samara, who was not loyal, so doing that actually saved her. Next, we needed someone to make a barrier. I'm like, okay, we need a barrier made from biotics. I got it. Miranda, that's all you. As my sister's horrified, why would I pick Miranda of all people? I'm like, isn't she like engineered by her dad to be like the perfect person? She got this. She in fact did not have this. Do not trust female Michael Jackson. So I believe that is where Jacob died. I was more angry and blame. I more blame Miranda being like some perfect person you trying to be.
Yeah, that pissed me off too.
Mind you, I did in fact do Miranda's loyalty mission. My sister was horrified. Oh, why did I just pick Jack? And I went, I thought Miranda was supposed to be like perfect person. What? She sucks? Also, I did not let Miranda see her sister.
Oh.
When my sister's like, why did you let her see your sister? Like, she didn't want to. I'm not gonna make her. That's wrong. Yes, the renegade person said, I'm not gonna force someone to do what they don't want to do. That'd be wrong of me. Next up, we had someone to freaking hold back the line. Can't remember what happened to Jack. She might actually died on the ship, actually. But either way, only one person was left. Grunt. Grunt was not loyal.
Oh.
And he's the only one left. So off goes Shepard, Miranda, and Tali to fight the Human Reaper. After doing so, we go back, and that son of a bitch Grunt lived. My sister is baffled how that literally makes no sense and thinks the game took pity because he was the only one left and he wasn't loyal. Because literally that makes no sense. Insert Krunk at Emperor's New Grave. By all my account, doesn't make any sense.
Man.
And that was my final crew going to Mass Effect 3. Miranda, Tali, and Grunts. The game BioWare wasn't done having jokes though.
Oh boy.
Because Grunt was not loyal in Mass Effect 2, Grunt dies in Mass Effect 3.
Of course.
Somehow him being loyal means he can survive jumping off a cliff? I don't know how that works. So either way, he dead. Then, Kaidan shows up, but Kaidan initially goes against you at some point. So it was Ashley. Me being renegade went, ooh, a button, and shot him. So Kaidan is now dead as well. So that's another ME1 character off the list. Let's see what else. Trying to remember what else. Mass Effect 2 character. I mentioned the people left. Yeah, so Grunt's dead. Kaidan's dead. Then came the big choice between the freaking Tali's race or the Geth.
Oh boy.
I went, you know what? I don't know this Geth robot. He doesn't even have a goddamn name. I believe in you, homie. Go do your thing. Which got Tali's race entirely killed off. Oops, I should have believed in him. Which did have me pick the only Paragon prompt I picked in my entire playthrough, which was Shepard trying to desperately stop Tali from killing herself, but he could not. Tali is now dead. My favorite character is now dead.
No alien Ussy.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. My Shepard banged Liara for some reason. I didn't even do anything. He just did it on his own volition. He was, I guess, just press.
See, even he knows Liara's best wife.
Game also said that apparently tried to hit on one of the people, Mass Effect 3, with the being like, joke's on you, Shepard. I'm gay. I'm like, I didn't even try to flirt with you. What the hell?
You remember who the character was?
I can't remember her name. I'm not just she's part of the ship and has the gag in the DLC where apparently her toothbrush can like was like, to help out a scenario.
Oh yeah, Trainer's her name. Yeah, she's a lesbian.
So then came the absolute finale, where Steve's ship went down. Steve lived, and I went,
yeah.
Oh, good. You're the only person in Mass Effect 3 actually like left. I have nobody else left. Want me to pick Vega? Effing Vega?
I got this one.
So like, oh, good. Steve survived. The only person I like left in this freaking ship. Don't leave me alone with these people. And then I picked the freaking Renegade option. Mind you, I picked the game when it was around new, so no director's cut stuff, no Senate cut. Meaning, I then killed off the entire Geth after killing off Tali's race.
And Edie.
Yeah, Shepard go for the big kill count.
I'm pretty sure that's the canon ending, no?
There's no canon ending. It's the fact that's the only one that gets you the breathing scene.
Ah.
But I never said anything that's canon per se.
Okay.
And that was how Mass Effect journey went through. So many characters dead. Most of them died due to sheer apathy, as my sister watched on in horror, and I just didn't care.
You monster!
So there's that, but hey, at least I'm not the person who was stupid enough to pick Samara's daughter over Samara.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck picked that option. I fucking looked it up just to see what would happen, because I personally... Bitch fucking dies in 3. I'm like, okay, so you're useless. Got it.
She can even be in 3?
Yeah, but she gets quickly converted into a sorry reap screaming banshee bitch.
She kills you in 2.
No, you can actually recruit her to be your teammate, and she's your teammate for the rest of 2.
Yeah,
but then she goes her own way in 3.
Yeah, but she kills you. That's what I'm saying. The only thing I've seen is that you recruit her, but then she kills you in 2. She, at the end of the game, it ends with her freaking brainwashing Shepard and killing Death by Snoo Snoo.
That must have been a different choice then, because you can actually bring her in 3, but she goes her own way in 3.
That's like the only thing I know about, is the fact that she freaking kills you. So I don't even know there's even another option. I wish I could find it, but there was one video where someone made a montage of every character in Mass Effect 2 all dying, including Shepard.
Oh yeah, I think he couldn't make the jump.
Yeah,
and
Joker
was the last one there, and then it just had Joker looking at the image of.
Yeah.
Gonna take Reapers easily.
But yeah, I made so many bad decisions, but hey, I do what people don't do, which is actually make choices and not just look up a guide on perfect ending.
Yeah, as for me, since I'm deeply in love with Mass Effect, I actually experimented with them all. I did full Paragon, I did full Renegade, I played as male Shep, femme Shep, pursued different romances, etc., etc. I explored it all.
I only ever did one playthrough of Mass Effect 3 as Paragon.
Huh.
I'm like, I just don't want to be Paragon. Damn it, I did that playthrough as one of every class you can play in the game, but of course the best one is freaking being the one that gives you the demonic charge.
I love that one.
Because it's busted.
Yeah. I mostly stood with the soldier class because I love the immunity adrenaline. But when I saw that biotic charge in 3, I was like, oh, sorry, so...
And then also the fact that they didn't disable the connect features when Shepard's entirely injured.
Oh?
Yeah, when you're injured at a slow walk with a pistol,
yeah,
the buttons are disabled, but the connect isn't. So if you just say biotic charge, he'll still do it.
I did not know that.
Like, I would just go, okay, biotic charge.
Bro's like, I got one more in me. Hold up.
$150 accessory, finally worth the money. You can cheese that segment because they didn't disable the connect commands, because who's thinking about the effing connect commands?
So, yeah, so you said you didn't get any DLC. That means you played...
Pretty getting cut off.
So you said that you didn't get any of the DLC, meaning you played pretty vanilla, right?
Yes, I played all 3 vanilla.
Okay, yeah, so you don't know about the DLC squad mates like Kasumi, Zaid, Javik.
I know about them now, but I know nothing about Javik, and I did play Mass Effect 2 on my sister's account on PC with the DLC, whenever, but that's about it. So I know of those 2, don't care for them, and I know they come back in Mass Effect 3, don't care for it, and I know nothing about Javik other than he was a pre-order thing.
Yeah, he's the last of his kind. He's the last Prothean.
And people were mad about it. But again, Mass Effect 3 has many things to be mad about, such as how underwhelming Kai Ling is.
Wait, why were they mad about Javik? He's like the coolest fucking thing.
Oh, because of the fact he's pre-order bonus. They feel like he's too important to just be some buy this pre-order a game or you have to pay $5 extra thing. It should have just been their base game.
Oh, then they must have brought him as a buyable DLC quickly then, because I remember when I played Mass Effect on Origin, Javik was there as a purchasable DLC.
And that's what I said. They said he was a pre-order bonus.
Oh.
He was a party member that was supposed to be there in the base game, but was during the era where every game had a pre-order bonus. So they said pre-order the game, you get a job. That's why him being a Prothean is like so important. And the idea that he's just some DLC is stupid.
Yeah.
It's like a Batman Arkham City made a Catwoman DLC, which wasn't supposed to.
Oh, I did not know that.
But it's because there's no online mode, so they wanted something to be as like an online pass, and they chose make Catwoman this bonus thing. Except, except for the fact that Catwoman, you actually don't need to play as her. In fact, it kind of makes the game's pacing worse. She actually doesn't add her playable segments. Don't add anything into the story, so you can actually remove her and nothing changes. So it's kind of baffling that she's supposed to be there from the get go. But her fate is that she is technically DLC because Warner Brothers want to stop people from buying used copies because it was during that era, the online passes.
Huh.
So their online pass idea was make Catwoman a thing you only get if you buy the game new. Or it's supposed to get it if you buy the game new because honestly, a GameStop clerk could just put the code on the receipt for you because they don't care.
I remember when they used to do that.
So yeah, Catwoman, yeah, it's the kind of thing. It's a pre-order bonus. Pre-order bonus used to be very painful back in the day, and nowadays it just don't exist.
Yeah.
Which is we're all better for it. Oh, we're all better for it. Back in that era, so that era sucked. So the online passes that sucked too. Yeah, that's sort of my choice of Mass Effect. And I just sheer apathy in Mass Effect 2. Peak apathy. I did like I think I did only like 3 loyalty missions total in Mass Effect 2, which was the bare minimum we needed to do. I did Tali, I did Miranda, and I did Jax, I remember.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted the game over with. I just not having fun. And then I replayed it and went, okay, it's not as bad as the game I remember, but it's still the worst of the 3. Because it's just Diet Gears of War, and then Mass Effect 3 is just Gears of War. But I got bought charged, so that's okay. I did also play the Shadowbroker DLC. I played the game on PC, my sister's account. That DLC was boring.
Oh.
Hey, you know what I love? I love it when characters acknowledge that what they're doing is boring and tedious. I love having Shepard point out how Mass Effect 1's freaking lockpicking thing was so simple, but now you have to wait for Liara to slowly pick a lock as you defend her in the most generic thing you could possibly put in a third-person shooter. And no, I don't care if Liara acknowledges, well, for lore reasons, having locks you could easily hack is very stupid. I'm playing a video game, F you. There's that entire thing.
Yeah.
Will Mass Effect 4 ever come out?
Given recent events, I don't know about that, Chief.
Yeah.
Trust me, no one's hurting more than me.
I'm not hurting at all.
I know, that's why I say no one's hurting more than me.
Yes, I checked out after 3. It's like Dragon Age. I checked out after the first game.